Dos, tres, 1, 2, 3, 4. I know you want me, you know I want you. I know you want me, you know I want you. I know you want me, you know I want you. I know you want me, you know I want you. My God, what has happened? Now, this is a marketing class and I'm singing a song. And you are in a different environment today. Behind it's all about what? It's about a pond, right? How are you going to manage or how are you going to map a pond to marketing communication? That's the beauty of marketing. You can enjoy knowledge. So normally what we do is we enjoy food, right? So we enjoy drink, we enjoy food, likewise we can enjoy knowledge. So welcome today to your marketing communication class in a different environment which is surrounded by nature. So today's class is lot of surprises. You may be wondering like why I have like said like 1 2 3 4 I know you want me song. So that's not about any song, that's about a matrix, right? That's about a matrix. So today we are going to talk about the value propositions. Why value propositions? To deliver effective marketing communication solutions. So today we are going to talk about the media strategy, we are going to talk about the creative strategy, we are going to talk about the ad agency appointments, we are going to talk about the ad agency management, and everything we are going to talk about today. Then at the end of the class, you'll be knowing how to manage an ad agency, how to manage your creative strategy, how to manage your media strategy, and how to plan your what? Customer value propositions. Before going to customer value propositions, now in the last class, we talked about the relationship marketing, ladder of loyalty, and everything, right? Now, once we talk about this relationship marketing, you need to focus on what? The customer value. Now, let's say you are having a good conversation with the customer, a loyal customer. Don't focus only on the price. So, how many elements we have in the marketing mix? It's about 7. So except price, we have about 6, right? 6 elements are there. Focus on these 6 elements and deliver the value that customer expects. So if you are if you are able to deliver that 6 values, you will be able to what? Move that anchor towards another thing that customer will be focusing on some other things. So that will be like having more, like having good relationship which is focusing on emotions and loyalty, so that customer will be having a good bond with you. So that is the correct way of moving that anchor of price to another thing. So it's about focusing on other 6 elements than the price is also valid, but let's pitch that at the last part of the conversation. So once it comes to last part of the conversation, we have climbed that ladder of loyalty to the upper level. So in that case, once you climb with that customer to that upper level, it is not an easy task for that customer to come down. Why? The emotional bonding is there. So you have moved the anchor with ethics, then you are going to make what? Above average profits. That's the beauty of marketing. So summarizing again, today we are going to talk about customer value proposition and the value propositions. Then we'll be talking about the media strategy, we'll be talking about the campaign strategy, and we'll be talking about some good terms like, otherwise you will be surprised when you're dealing with ad agents. You will be saying like, okay, opportunity to see, OTS, GRP. So we'll be talking about those things as well today. Now, at the end of this lesson, you will be able to manage ad agencies and you will be able to plan your campaign in your own, and I'll be giving you knowledge on your favorite YouTube channel, Active. So let's straight away move into the subject right now. Okay, let's go there now.
Okay, now we are going to talk about the straight away the lesson content, lesson number 3, under basics of marketing communication. We'll be talking about creating value propositions. So under that, we'll be talking about role of communications as well. In the summary, you have understood or you have gone through what we are expecting to cover. At the end of this lesson, you will be able to do following things after going through this lesson, because we'll be giving you knowledge, providing you knowledge to be applied and shared. So learning outcomes of this lesson number 3, it's about you'll be getting knowledge to plan a campaign to deliver customer value. You'll be able to plan a campaign to deliver customer value. That is the first learning outcome. Then the second learning outcome is we'll be talking about the role of the creative brief. What is creative brief? How we're going to prepare a creative brief, and all those things we'll be talking about. What are the elements of creative brief, and we'll be talking about how we are going to write a creative brief, and we'll be talking about those things as well. Then we'll be discussing the key message development and the customer appeal. So for a campaign to be successful, you need to develop key messages. So in that case, you will be able to develop a key message which is consisting with the emotional appeal and the functional appeal, which is in par with the customer appeal as well. Then lastly, you will be able to manage ad agencies, and you'll be looking at like how we're going to appoint ad agencies and how we're going to deal with ad agencies and all that. So that is the last learning outcome under lesson 3. Okay, now the customer value. Right. Now, once you hear the word customer value, we know customers are very valuable for us. But how we are going to develop customer value and how we are going to deliver the customer value? Before that, we should know what do you mean by customer value. Now, it has said if consumers are to buy a product or service, customer needs to understand the value or benefits ownership can deliver. Now, it is meant like in order for a customer, or let's say you need to buy a product or service from an organization. So in that case, what are the values or benefits that product or service can deliver me? So if there's a benefit or value of that particular purchase only, I'm going to buy that from you. So if it is not there, I'm not going to buy that from you. So that is what you mean by the custom value. So we are entering into as introduction. So we will be going deep down in customer value once it comes to the future slides. Then the second bullet point is what? Customer perceived value is the prospective customer's evaluation of all benefits and costs of an offering compared to those of competitors. Now, it is about what? Customer perceived value is prospective customers evaluation. Now, what the customer think the real value is, it is about his mental perception of evaluation of what? What are the benefits that I am going to get, and what are the costs which are incurred. So if the cost is higher than the benefits, so it is not a value for me, it devalues me. So if the cost is high, the benefits are higher than the cost, so that means like the benefit is more, so I am going to go ahead with that. So customer value will be more if the benefits are more and the cost is comparatively low. So if they are equal, there's null and void. But if it is more, the costs are more, the customers will not come to you. So it is a point, it is an important point that we should understand what you mean by the customer value. So in the next slide, customer delivered value equals value delivered the customer thinks they are getting minus what it is cost for them in more than pure monetary terms. Problem, or we had a doubt like what do you mean by more than monetary terms? Now let's look at that thing. Now always remember I have told you, so once you are going to do a purchase decision, so we will be what? We will be going ahead and we'll be in through our mind by the use of our mind, we'll be doing a cost benefit analysis. So this cost benefit analysis will be done like this. Now there's something called emotional cost. Now more than monetary cost, right? Emotional cost. So emotional cost means what? Now let's say you are going to buy a Toyota vehicle and you are going to buy uh, maybe let's say a Kia. branded vehicle. So you are going to go for a Toyota vehicle and you are going to go for a Kia branded vehicle. Toyota, the country of origin is Japan, where the Kia is country of origin is Korea. So in that case, we have a normal perception. Toyota is about high quality and Kia is not that much of quality and it is not durable like that. So Toyota, once it comes to Lexus and all that, so you have some prestige over there. So the emotional cost is very much higher in Toyota, whereas the emotional cost is lower in the Korean brand that's about Kia. So we'll be having cost benefit analysis for that thing. So in part with the emotional cost, there's something called image benefit. Now to give you some example, now let's say you are going in a Kia vehicle and you are getting down from the Kia vehicle in front of your colleagues, and you are going in a let's say a BMW X5, or let's say in a Ferrari, and you are getting down in front of your colleagues. So how will you get down? So there's something called image benefit from the brand or that intended purchase. So it is like what it the brands add value to your image as well. Now the way you are going in a Ferrari and the way you are going in a Kia, it's very different. So that is what you mean by the image benefit. And the other thing is what more than monetary cost, you have something called energy cost. Now energy cost means what? The physical and mental energy that you need to put into for this intended purchase, and for the after sales service what they are going to have. So what energy that I have put in to find more details about that, in order to try that product, in order to get that product down, in order to get the catalog down, what is the energy cost, physical and mental energy cost that I have to put, or the customer have to put, in order to enjoy that product. So that is what you mean by energy cost. Now by doing that energy cost, what is the personal benefit that I'm going to have? Okay, let's say by getting a phone, a mobile phone, what is the personal benefit that you are going to have? So it's about making calls and making some WhatsApp or Viber messages, maybe WeChat messages, and browsing through Facebook, LinkedIn, and everything. So you'll be using some camera features to deliver HD video, and you want to run your YouTube channel through this phone, and everything will be there. So that's the personal benefit you are going to expect from that particular purchase if it is a mobile phone. Now energy cost is what? It's about physical and mental energy that you need to put in order to identify what are these basal benefits which is in there in the what, that product or service. So it is a must that you should understand what is meant by this emotional cost. Then what else? Emotional cost, image benefit, energy cost, and so on. So we'll be talking about the other thing. Now it is about what? It is about the time cost. Time cost means what? It is about the time that you need to put into these products in order to make the intended purchase. How much time it is taking from me to do the intended purchase. So we'll be the customers will be considering that thing as well, the time cost. So how much time do I have to spend? Likewise, then the other one is what? When the time cost is there, what is the service benefit I'm going to have? Is there after sales service? What are the warranties, guarantees, and the durability of product, the reliability of the product? We'll be talking about those things and considering about those things as well. So it is about time cost and the service benefit. Now, then lastly, it comes to the monetary cost. What is the monetary value of that thing? Can you remember? Once I am starting this lesson, I have told you something. It's about what? You need to pitch the price at last, because the price is not only the fact which describes customers' perception. So monetary cost comes as last, which is supported by time, energy, emotional cost, and which is balanced by what? product benefit, service benefit, personal benefit, and the image benefit. Right? Now there's a logic here. What is that? Now emotional cost is there. You can add energy cost to that. Then you are going to add time cost to that, and you are going to add monetary cost to that. And lastly, what are you going to get? That is about the total customer cost. Likewise, you'll be having image benefit, you'll be having personal benefit, you will be having service benefits, lastly, you will be having product benefits. Then ultimately it delivers what? Total customer benefit. Then what comes? The logic behind this is the total customer delivered value. So you will be comparing the total cost versus total benefit, then you will be moving ahead with that thing, right? Okay, that's about creating customer value thing. Now, in this lesson, we'll be talking about opinion leaders and opinion formers as well. Now, in creating custom value, these opinion leaders and opinion formers are going to play a major role. Now, let's say it's about opinion leaders. Those are the individuals like experts, celebrities, role models, pharmacists, motoring correspondents, film critics, bloggers, etc., who are perceived to be knowledgeable about specific area and whose advice or opinion is valued by others is like opinion leaders. Now, let's say you are going to have Camilla Cabello in your advertisement who's recommending that thing. She will be an opinion leader for you, which enhances your product value and the customer value as well. Whereas when it comes to opinion formers, they could be what? Family, friends, and colleagues will also be in this among this group. So opinion formers' credibility is not that higher than opinion leaders, because opinion leaders are somewhat more credible than opinion formers. Now we talk about campaigns here as well. Now, if you need to have some idea about the campaign before going into detail, a series of communication. Now, let's say it's about a marketing campaign. It's a series of communications intended to communicate a consistent message about a brand or group of brands in order to reach and influence the identified target audience as cost effectively as possible. So that's it. So then we talk about the value proposition. We are going to talk about the value proposition. In short, it's about what? A short succession statement of bundles of benefits that your product or service will deliver to its target audience. So that's about value proposition. Then you will be talking about USP. That's about unique selling proposition. That's about what? Something that is head and shoulders above any potential competitor in terms of benefits it offers to the consumer. Now, for an example, you can get the iPhone for that, right? So by keeping those things in mind, in order to be a USP, like unique selling proposition, in order to be a unique selling proposition, if you want to identify your USP, you need to put yourself in customer shoes. Now, when you are identifying the USP, these questions has to be answered, right? Now, as a customer, what do I want or need? Then the second one is, what problems do I need the product to solve? Then the third question we should ask about USPs, it's about what? What do I expect from this product or service? What do I expect from this? And the other question is what? What benefits do I get from it? In order to work your USPs, work out your USP. Why should I choose this one over competing offers? Right now, let's talk about again about Audi over, let's say, Toyota. Audi, it's about what? As a customer, what do I want or need when it comes to Audi? When it comes to Audi, what do I want or need for that thing? So in that case, what happens is what? It's about I need an Audi over Toyota because I need that extra benefits which is provided by Audi over Toyota, something like that. So Audi is, or maybe let's say I'm going for a Volkswagen. or maybe I'm going for some other brand. Maybe it's Volkswagen, it's about safety and reliability, so I'm going to go for that USP as well. So in order to identify your USP, you need to have these questions. The first one is, what? As a customer, what do I want to need? What problems do I need this product to solve? What do I expect from this product or service? What benefits do I get from it? The last one is, what? Why should I choose this one over competing offers? Okay, by keeping that thing in mind, let's move into the other slide. We talk about the customer value proposition. Customer value proposition. Now, it is what you mean by a well-defined, persuasive marketing statement related to a specific product or service that details the reason why the consumer would benefit from purchasing it. A business will typically use customer value proposition as a part of its marketing strategy to consumers rather than using it internally among staff, suppliers, and distributors, right? Internally among staff, suppliers, and distributors. So customer value proposition, it's about customers, right? In a nutshell, what you could do is, what you could provide is like customer value proposition. It's about what? The reason why the consumers or my target customers should buy my product over competing offers. So that's about competitive advantage. And you need to have a good customer value proposition for you to beat the competition. So I'll tell you how to do that right away. Okay, let's go to the other slide. Before going to other slide, reminding again, customer value proposition, it's about what? The reason why the customer or target consumer should buy my product, right? The reason why. So you should give a reason for them to buy. We talk about this traditional hierarchical models of advertising. Though it is said as traditional hierarchical models of advertising, now though it is a traditional hierarchical model of advertising, today also we are using these models. Now we'll start with the first model, that is about the IDA model. IDA model, we are going to start with the awareness. Now, before customer is going to going to get knowledge on the values which has been delivered by our product, we need to raise the awareness of our customer segment. Otherwise, the customers will not, will not know what are the value propositions that we are going to offer. Now, in building awareness, you can build awareness through external communication mechanisms, like we have the promotional mix elements, like it can be done through advertising, above the line advertising, below the line advertising, and through the line advertising, and everything you can done to raise awareness. Maybe the digital platforms you can use, maybe the personal selling, maybe the public relation and sponsorship activities you can use to make them, make your target market to raise the awareness. Then after raising the awareness, now once the awareness is raised, customers are curious, so that they will be interested in the product. They will be interested in the product. So once they are interested means what? So you will be having repeat exposure for them to come to you. So they will be curious, and they will be having repeat exposure for your advertisement or the communication mechanism. So there will be, okay, what is this about? They will be curious about that thing. Then they will be having a desire of buying that product. So they will be having a desire of buying that product because you have made them awareness, made increase the awareness levels of them, and you have made them interest towards your product, and you have made them desire. Now, for an example, let's say telescene marketing. Telescene marketing, you see, like every person who's there in the gym machines and everything, the working out machines, they are showing the backpack, and they are showing their the six pack, and they are showing their slim bodies, and they are showing their biceps muscles and all that thing, and they're making you interest and desire to make use of those equipment in order to have a slim body like them or smart body like them. Then they what they do, and what they do at last, it's about advertising, a two-way communication. Call this number right now to get that discount, or make your body slim, or to get that free offer or something like that. So that's about the action where the customer makes an inquiry about the product. So he can call the store, or he can send an email to the store, or he can try the product, or he can go for a test drive as well. So this is a very useful model in advertising the awareness, interest, design, action. That's how the IDA model comes. This has been invented by whom? That's about Elmo Lewis and Strong in 1925. So almost 100 years ago. Now, this is the best known hierarchical model, which was initially proposed and aid to salespeople by this Elmo Lewis and then developed by Strong in 1925. It remains a useful basic way to look at all promotions. The premise is that advertising works by first catching the attention of the target group, then generating interest in the message, then provoking some kind of want or need, and finally prompting a purchase. Now, again, we can see like this Levitch and Steiner 1961 improved the IDA by adding elements like hierarchy becoming the awareness and knowledge as well, liking, preference, conviction, purchase. This acknowledges that the customer make choices between competitive offerings as well. So this is a traditional hierarchical model which can be used by young organizations to succeed as well. Now again, we are moving to some of another traditional hierarchical models is like that, because now in the IDA model there's nothing called it's lacking how we are going to measure the results. So that's where this Dagmar is going to come. So Dagmar is focusing on what? Focusing on defining advertising goals for measured advertising results. So that's how the Dagmar abbreviation comes. Now it was conceived by Colley 1961. This model measures advertising effectiveness without focusing on sales alone, using additional concepts such as timescales, objectives, benchmarking, and exact target audience. The Dagmar model holds that each potential purchaser goes through four states of mind in terms of their relationship with the advertisement. Now, it can be from awareness, comprehension, conviction, action, and Dagmar is sometimes known as ACCA as well. Now, you can see in the slide, it's there, traditional hierarchical models of advertising. So that's about ACCA, Dagmar, and you have the IDA model as well. Right. Now we are moving into the next slide, which is decision making and communication. Now you can remember I was dancing to a song. I was dancing to a song at the beginning of this lesson. I have said 1, 2, 3, 4, and all that. So I told you that's about a metrics I'm going to talk about. This is none other than what? FCB planning grid. That's about food, call, and building. That's an advertising agency. FCB planning grid that shows four types of decision making. So you can see the axes right now. So you have think, feel, and high involvement and low involvement is there, and that has been developed by who? FCB planning grid, right? Developed by Wong 1986. Now in the quadrant 1 you can see thinking and high involvement, and in quadrant 2 you can see feeling and high involvement. In quadrant 3 you can see thinking and low involvement. In quadrant 4 you can see feeling and low involvement. Now each type requires a different advertising approach. Involvement in this context means the level of risk or concern associated with the intended purchase and how that might affect the buyer's behavior. Now let's see what are the characteristics associated with high involvement. When consumer perceives a high level of risk or monetary or other in an intended purchase, they are highly involved. And the other one is what? It's about they may have developed an attitude to purchase before committing to it, or before trying it out, or experimenting with it. The next one is what? The characteristics associated with high involvement. A prolonged search for information results in product awareness followed by formulation of an attitude. So those are the characteristics associated with high involvement. So what is with low involvement then? So that's about what? It's about people perceive low level of risk in the intended purchase. Low level of risk, maybe the day-to-day grocery buying. Then they seek little or no information. Like how many of you look at the ingredients of cans of beans, for example? They often try something before forming an attitude about it. They often try something, right? Then, by combining the element of thinking and feeling with the level of involvement, four advertising planning strategies emerge. Now, it can be informative, effective, habitual, or self satisfied. Now, let's say for an example, quadrant one, for example, represent informative. The customer has high involvement and will seek information on which to base their decision. For example, examples of product that will fall into this quadrant include car, a house, a furniture, and like that. So let's talk about the quadrant 2 that represents effective. Purchase here are still high involvement but also affected by consumers' feelings. Products that fall into this quadrant will be like perfumes, clothing, and gifts. Now, being able to plot where this particular brand's product sits on this grid can yield significant insights on which to build communication campaigns that gives customer the information and reassurance they need to guide them through the purchase decision making process, right? So again, what happens is Wong 1996 they have developed something like that, but again, what happens in the next you come to the purchase decision making, Wong went on developing this learn, feel, do approach as well, which recognizes the customers can enter the purchase process either through cognitive or affective stage depending on the type of the product they are thinking about buying. Wong argued that learn, feel, do sequence is really continuum or circular process and that communication strategy should be targeted at the point of that consumers enter the cycle, right? So that's about what the Vaughn has developed. So that's about learn, feel, do, learn, and do, learn, feel like that. Now, for an example, let's say you are going to buy a car for yourself. So before buying the car, you are going to experience and you are going to feel the car by a test drive. Then you are going to learn about the car and their what specification, and you are going to do that thing. That means you are going to buy that thing. Now, other point is do learn feel means you are going to buy that thing. By buying that product, you are going to learn that thing, and you are going to by learning you are going to feel that. Then the other part is what learn, feel, do. That means you will be learning about the product and you will be feeling about the product, and lastly you are going to buy that product. But anyhow, you can see 3 points are there as identified as customer entry points, because customer entry points can be done in these three elements, because once they are feeling about the product they can make the buying decision. Once they are doing these things, or maybe once they are trying it out, they can make the buying decision. Once you are learning about the product, you can make the buying decision. So as marketers today, we need to identify and trigger the customer to buy the product with the value additions, right? Right. Okay. That's about the purchase decision making and communication with regard to wants, learn, feel, do cycle. Right. So those are the customer entry points. Now you are clear with that thing. So now that's about learn, feel, learn, do, and do, learn, feel. Purchase decision making and communication. There's something called emotional versus rational. Now, as marketers today, you need to plan your emotional and rational messages. When developing an external communication message, it is important to consider how the customers will view the purchase decision. A functional message is required generally because low involvement is taking place. If the purchase is easier, cheaper, and faster, the decision may be used emotional appeal. For the examples, this is best for my kid or something like that. So that means like you can't solely rely on functional. and you can't solely rely on emotional, because humans are of both factors. As marketers today, you need to have the balanced approach of these emotional and rational messages put towards the customer, where you are going to trigger the customer to engage with you. So you need to be very sensible when developing emotional and rational messages through your campaigns. Now let's see what's in there. So you are seeing a picture here. Now you are seeing another picture here. Now what is emotional and what is rational for you? Is this rational for you or is this emotional for you? Two ladies are there. Is it emotional or rational? Is it somewhat emotional, right? So the emotions are maybe love, maybe sexual pleasure, likewise maybe the sadness. We really don't know, but that picture appears to be what? Emotional. And this one, which shows an Audi and which shows the virtual cockpit, as well as it has said as S-line as well. You can see the multifunction, this steering wheel is there, and virtual cockpit is there, and a person is holding some gloves, and it is said like something functional. So I just wanted to highlight by these photos what do you mean by emotional appeal and what do you mean by functional appeal. But you can't rely on only the emotional appeal, you need to have the functional appeal as well. So that is straightforward, right? So this is emotional, this is functional, right? By keeping that in mind activity right now, by using one of the hierarchical models which we have just gone through, or which we have just learned, by using one of the hierarchical models of advertising, explain how we are going to maximize your customer trials. By using one of the hierarchical models, maybe IDA, Dagmar, ACCA, or any model, by using one of those models of advertising, explain how we are going to maximize your customer trials for you. Then we are going to talk about how we are going to measure the credibility of advertising campaigns. Credibility of advertising campaigns. How are we going to measure that? How credible can the advertising message be when it's obvious that the company promoting it has vested interest in the outcome? Marketers haven't always enjoyed the best reputation either. A speaker at a conference said recently, marketing often across like the guy who shows up at a party with handful of leaflets. Marketers need to take care that their behavior and communications mitigate the concerns. To provide credible advertising, marketers need to take into account the following factors. Right now, marketers has to take into account these factors. The first fact is how credibility is perceived. Now, once you are going for an event as a marketer, as a professional marketer, you need to know how the credibility is perceived by the target audience. Then the other one is what? Attractiveness of the source. So we need to talk about or consider about the attractiveness of the source, maybe the likability. Now, let's say you are going with brochures and all that thing, so you'll be an ordinary professional marketer, not a professional marketer, ordinary boy who's hanging around. Where what you could do is you can do something innovative, like you can push a social media message for the participants that's saying like, okay, there's a special offer for you, and if you can make an announcement, so attractiveness of the source will be there, then you can have the engagement and the persuade power and the expertise of the source. Now, let's say you need to consider about the source power. Now, let's talk about a highly reputed TV channel is there and not reputed TV channel is there. So, perceived power of highly reputed TV channel like CNN, BBC, or something like that, it is very much higher than an ordinary news channel. Then the trustworthiness of the source. Now, let's say you are going to trust something in the social media. Let's say you are going to trust something in Facebook. No, you need to have the validity and reliability of that source. If you are going to trust everything which is on Facebook, It will be very hard for you. You need to have the trustworthiness of and the reliability of that source. Then the motives of the source is also matters. Now let's say for example, you are having religious channel and you are trying to advertise perfumes, or maybe let's say your BMW, the first class BMW in the religious channel, that won't be applicable. Where you are going to advertise your motor car launch uh, in a channel which is where motives are in motorsports, so that will be very much applicable for you. So as a marketer today, you can't just be a marketer, you need to analyze the credibility of advertising campaigns before you going in there. Once we talk about the campaign planning, then again, campaign planning. So it's according to the Picton and Broderick 2004, they have like provided with the comprehensive planning tools for campaigning, right? Before knowing the tools, before campaign planning, we need to have inputs from the brand owners and agencies. So insight to customer behavior, wants and needs, because we need these things from the company owners and the organizations, what behaviors and needs and wants their customer segments is having. So we need to understand that thing. Then we need to understand the media selection. Are we going to advertise on social media? Are we going to use the mass media? Are we going to use print media? Likewise, what is the media selection for the optimum returns? Then we'll be talking about effective creative idea to generate highest possible engagement. I can remember in 2000, maybe 3 or 4, maybe in 8, in Zurich, when Samsung was launching this Samsung S4 for the first time, they had an engagement with the brand. It's a very good campaign that in the Zurich railway station they had something for the launching, and they have gifted one S4 phone for the competition winner. And that was a campaign which has generated like biggest or highest engagement with the brand. So customers were able to, the winner was able to hang on there for 1 hour by looking at that particular incident. So that's how it went when it comes to campaign planning, when it comes to Samsung S4 launch. Right, so it means like what? You need to think outside the box. Then it says what? Once you are going to go for this campaign planning, the campaign plan should include what? Clear definitions of the target audience has to be there. Clear definitions of the target audience. The second one is what? A specific message to be communicated. You need to have a specific message to be communicated, right? Then the other one is what? The clear definition is there and the specific message is there. Then what? You have to have desired outcomes. So what are the outcomes you are going to, what are the outcomes you are going to expect? So it can be attitude change, it can be an attitude change, it can be an increase of awareness, maybe number of calls you are going to get. So there are desired outcomes. Then what is the specific message to be communicated? So that has to be a key message for you, right? So you can't have a key message which is of paragraphs, right? So you need to have a clear and concise key message. Then the fourth point is what? Mechanism to monitor and control the plan. So you need to set up key performance indicators, so some indicators to monitor you and control your plan. If the plan is not monitored and controlled, we really don't know where we are going, right? Then mechanism to monitor results. So you need to now, it is a fact that you are going to monitor that thing, but you need to have a good dashboard to monitor results when it comes to target versus achievement. So campaign plan should include these major 5 elements in campaign planning and in your campaign plan. There's something called this one, it's about 2-step flow, 1-step flow and multi-step flow. Now this is about the flow of information in campaign planning, right? Now what do you mean by this 1-step flow? The message is communicated directly to the target audience. So there's no opinion former or opinion leader. You are just going to directly communicate it to the target audience. Maybe you will be using the functional appeal. Then what do you mean by the 2-step flow? It is about what? The message communicated through opinion leaders and opinion formers. So that can be include both functional and emotional. Multi-step flow is what? communication flows in many directions from variety of people within the communication network, right? So that is what you mean by multi-step flow. Normally, as marketers today, we are going ahead with multi-step flow, which is in balance with what? Emotional and the rational messages with the key message. So that's about campaign planning when it comes to flow of information. And there's something called now campaign planning. There's some model called Rabostic is there. Rabostic. Now, what do you mean by this Rabostic? So the first one is research and analysis. Research and analysis. That means like what? To understand the market and its influences, to understand competitors, to identify problems and opportunities. This includes audience research, database analysis, purchasing trends, competitor information, and results from previous communication campaigns, as well as results from research into macro and micro environments using Pestil factors. So that's about research analysis. So once we talk about audience, what comes to your mind? It's about determine who to target with marketing communications. What is your target audience? Then the budget, it's about what? Decide how much resource you need. Is it SOM and SOV method? Is it percentage of sales methods? Likewise. So we have talked about that thing in detail in the lesson number 2. Then the objectives. It's about what? Set out what you need to achieve, who you are targeting, and what behaviors you want to drive. So that's about objectives, and that has to be smart. We talked about smart objectives in the last lesson as well. Then we talk about the strategy. So develop a message and the communication strategy. So we'll be talking about communication strategy once it comes to the lesson number 6. So that's about push, pull, and profile strategies. We'll talk about that thing in detail. So it's about tactics. Tactics are used to operationalize the strategies to deliver the message, select appropriate media, and schedule activities. So that's about tactics. Then we talk about implementation. That means like what? Put the plan into action. So if the implementation fails, you can't drive the plan. So put the plan into action. Then lastly, it comes to control. That's about what? That's about what? Measure and track the effectiveness of marketing communication. So this robotic model will help you to what? Plan your campaign, and it is a campaign planning tool as well, right? So after studying this robotic model, there are other campaign about soft stack. Now you see a picture here which I've got. Maybe in 2017 I have got this picture with this PR Smith. He's the person who has developed this SOSTAC framework. So the same thing as Rabostick, this is the SOSTAC framework, right? This is a SOSTAC framework. Now, once it comes to SOSTAC framework, the first one is what? First one is situational analysis, right? Situational analysis. Now, once you talk about situational analysis, again, what comes to your mind? Situation analysis? It's about research and analysis again. So you can use micro and macro analysis. You can do a SWOT analysis, forces, 6 forces. Then you can use pestle analysis. Then you can see where you stand right now. Then you'll be setting up your objectives, which are smart objectives, behavioral change objectives, and you'll be planning your strategies. The communication strategy is there. That's about push, pull, and profile strategies. The tactics are the marketing communication mix you are going to have. It's about you are going to deploy pull strategy through advertising. Likewise, then you will be having your monitoring and controlling mechanisms. So that's straightforward. That is about SOSTAC framework, right? We are moving ahead with the campaign objectives. Now, once you talk about the campaign objectives, you need to have a guideline to set campaign objectives. Now, these are general guidelines in setting up campaign objectives, because if we really do not know how to set up objectives, you need a guideline for that. Now, generally, it can be focusing on differentiating a product or service from competing offers. So again, it can be what? Provide information in features and benefits. What are the features and benefits of the product? Then create or build brand awareness. So that can be an objective for you. And improve the positioning of the product or repositioning it. You may be now understood like what are the repositions and the positioning of your products which has been. right? Then create call to action. I have told you about telescene marketing examples. It's about create call to action and win new business or retain customers. That can be your campaign objectives, right? So I think these 6 elements will help you in handy when you're setting up your own campaign objectives. But you can set up the campaign objectives. I mean, not in par with these things, but not only focusing on these factors. There are other factors as well. Strategy. Now it's about what? Creative strategy. It's about idea and appeal. How we are going to do that, right? Now it's like this. What is used to approach segments. Correct tone of voice used to. What do you mean by this tone of voice? Now, let's say, for example, if you're saying something like a free offer or something like that, so what you have to do is now the correct tone of voice. It's about, like, let's say the opinion former or opinion leader in the advertisement, they say there's a free offer like that, you can buy that thing and all that thing. And there's a different opinion former, they say like this, there's a free offer, you can buy that thing, hurry up right now. So that is the correct tone of voice that you need to use to approach segments. Likewise, you need to have the correct tone of voice. Then the principal benefits of the brand, you need to know communicate that thing as well. Now there's a cost benefit analysis, like I have told you about the customer value proposition. There are benefits, image benefit, personal benefit, and all that thing, service benefits. So cost benefit analysis, principal benefits has to be communicated, and then supporting factors underpinning the benefits. Supporting factors also has to be communicated in emotional and rational ways. And desired brand image, so what is the brand image? You are going to have the brand image in the consumer's mind, and what is the positioning you are going to plan, what is the brand positioning that you are going to plan in consumer's mind as well. So that's about the creative. Then we are going to talk about the media planning thing, the media strategy, media planning and media buying. So media planning is what? Planning the media is about selecting the optimal presence in the optimal channels to deliver the best ROI, best return on investment. So that means like you can use offline, online media in the mix of delivering the best ROI. Then second one is what? The media buying. So we'll be talking about ad agencies. They will be buying media on behalf of you. It's about the skillful negotiation in order to secure the required media plan for a minimal cost. So it is about again what? A skillful negotiation. So you need to have a skillful negotiation in order to secure the required media for plan at minimal cost. So media buying is a skillful negotiation, right? So you can't avoid that thing. That's why you are going to deal with ad agencies for media planning and media buying. Once you are going to talk about this media selection, so we'll be considering about the size of the audience. Now let's say you are going to have about size of the audience, it's about 1000 or 1500. So that doesn't mean like you are going to go for mass media advertising like TV, radio, press. So that will be a waste for you. Where else you can use like maybe social media advertising. So 1000 is there, 1000 group, you can send 1000 direct messages, whereas the TV advertising will be a waste. And the nature of the audience in the sense like, let's say the nature of the audience is not techno savvy and they are not into social media. So in that case, if you have advertising on social media, that won't be having a positive impact, where you can, if you can advertise on a daily paper, a daily paper in a small advertisement, that will be a very applicable for that. Then the suitability of the medium, to technical characteristics, the geographical coverage of that thing, maybe the customer segments technical characteristics, and the reachability of that advertisement, that has to be selected, and that has to be considered as well in the media selection. And the cost effectiveness of the medium, so there will be cost per million, cost per thousand, and all that thing. So cost effectiveness of the medium will also be there. And the measurement in the sense like how we are going to measure the results, the real time monitoring is there. Now if it is a real time monitoring, you can't, like, let's say you are going to advertise on a daily newspaper and you can measure that results by the readership, but it is not like digital mechanism to get the results then and there. So real time monitoring will not be able to monitor via printed newspaper sometimes. So media selection, you need to consider these factors. Once we go into media planning concepts, now we talk about like It's about what? Most media agencies offer both services. Some even can employ hybrid media planners and buyers. Increasingly, media agencies cover offline and online planning and buying. Likewise, then the media strategy involves decision on media choice and timing and the duration of the campaign, its intended impact and the target coverage of the target audience, the frequency with which the consumer needs to be exposed to the message, and decision will have to be made within the budget constraints, of course. But the primary consideration should be select the media that are best able to reach the target audience and communicate the message well. Selecting the most appropriate media requires analysis of target audience media consumption habits, whether they are most likely to take notice on Twitter than TV. For example, whether the message can be conveyed through audio only, visuals only, or requires both, something like that. So that's about media strategy and media buying and media planning. And we are going to talk about now media planning concepts. So you are having these concepts now. That's impact. Now, what do you mean by impact? It's about the qualitative value of the message through a given medium. Often, the combination of audio and visual maximizes the impact. Then there's something called circulation. It's about what the number of copies of newspapers or magazines, etc., circulated. Then there's something called readership. Readership, it can be viewership or listenership, an estimation of the size of the audience delivered from the market research. One issue of magazine can have several readers as well. Then there's something called reach. Now, what do you mean by reach? It's about coverage or penetration. The percentage of people in the target audience exposed to the campaign. The percentage of people in the target audience exposed to the campaign. Then there's something called frequency. That means what? The number of times a member of the target audience or target market is exposed to the media vehicle, not the ad message, media vehicle, not the ad message, during a certain time period. It is measured by opportunity to see. Now, what do you mean by OTS, opportunity to see? It's about what? Although an individual may be exposed to the vehicle, they may not have seen the advert. OTS measures the opportunity, also known as the media impressions as well. Then we talk about the duplication. Duplication means what? The member of the target audience uh, exposed to two or more advert carrying the same message. So that's about the duplication. Then there's something called GRP, that's about gross rating points, the message of the number of OTS generated set period of time. So you can get GRP by reach into frequency. GRP equals reach multiplied by the frequency. Then there's something called effective frequency, the number of times an individual needs to be exposed to an ad before it coming what? Effective. Then lastly, there's something called psychographics. It's about what? A generic term for consumer personality traits. It's about liberal, serious, cautious, or something like that. Beliefs and attitudes about social issues and potential interest. In other words, it can be the lifestyle. So that's about media. Then we talk about the media planning process. It's about what? Assess the communication environment. It's about the micro and macro factors. So you can use the pistol, sort, and Peter's five forces to do that thing. Then describe the target audience, what target audience you are going to target at. So they can be professionals, they can be elders. Likewise, you have to describe your target audience with the characteristics. Then set media objectives according to the criterion which we have talked about in the previous slide. Set media objectives, then set the media mix in accordance with the optimum presence for the maximum return on investment. Then buy media. So we talk about media buying. So according to that, the ad agency will be doing what? Buying of media. Advertising methods, media scheduling. So once you talk about media scheduling, it's about what? Once the media planner have selected the media for the campaign, they will have to consider how and when to use over the time. They typically schedule media within the highest coverage and the impact at the start of the campaign to create awareness quickly and follow it, right? So likewise, they will be scheduling the media, right? So once you are going to schedule the media, there are some words for you. There's something called pulsing, intermittent, flighting, continuous, like that. So pulsing means what? A short burst of advertising lasting days or weeks with intervals in between. That's about pulsing. What do you mean by intermittent? It's about what? Regular advertising but with rising and falling intensity. Regular advertising but with rising and falling intensity. Then continuous. It's about what? A drip, drip, repeat pattern has to be there. So that's what you mean by the continuous. Then flighting means what? A timing pattern which ads are scheduled to run during intervals and that are separated by periods of silence. The period of time during which the ads appealing is called a flight and the period of absence is called a hiatus. Flighting allows the brand that doesn't have enough budget to run ads on TV, for example, continuously to save money and to maximize the impact of commercials by erasing them at the key strategic times. During a hiatus, it will typically employ less costly media such as radio, newspaper to keep the message and the theme of advertising campaign front of consumers' minds. So that's about flighting. So we talk about these things about pulsing, intermittent, flighting, and continuous. For you, it's about what? What advertisements have you seen recently in many medium that particularly affected you? Which one was effective? Would you tend to favor that brand? When are you in the market? When are you in the market for that particular product category? So we need to think about that, and that's the activity for you. You can tackle that activity after this. What break? After this, after going through this lesson. You are going to frame a message through this brand communication. How we are going to frame this message in brand communication? Now let's look at that thing. There's a model for you for that thing. Then the first thing is about self-construal. Now, what do you mean by self-construal? This has been developed by Sai 2007. He has provided a model to help marketers to frame advertising message based on three crucial consumer characteristics. The first one is self-construal. It's about what? How the individual see him or herself, perhaps reflected in the brand values. That's about self-construal. Now, consumer involvement means how involved and engaged the audience can become. Then a product knowledge means what? The individual's past history or experience. And you can see the arrows are going vice versa from self-construal to product knowledge to consumer involvement, involvement to consual. Likewise, this will be a continuous process. By keeping that in mind, so the marketers will be what? Framing the message. Marketers will be framing the message for that. So once you're going to frame the message, that's about what? Brand communication and persuasiveness, attitude towards the brand and the purchase intention has to be there. So in that case, what happens? The consumer involvement come in the framing the message. And again, the self-control come and the product knowledge also will become. So as marketers today, we need to think of what do you mean by control? Consumer involvement, product knowledge, and framing the message has to be done according to those three elements. If you're not doing that thing, so it will be very hard for you. It will be very hard for you. So in that case, knowing these facts to root level is very much important for you to plan brand communication persuasiveness as well as attitude towards the brand and the purchase intention. Then we are going to talk about these ad agency types. So we are having this ad agency. It's about four to five agencies. You have full service agencies. So these full service agencies will provide you with all production end-to-end service. And there are something called media independents. They will be doing subcontracts and all that thing. And you will be having a la carte things like that means like the a la carte means like you can take some specific services from them. You can choose they will be having service portfolio. In the service portfolio you will be having this a la carte menu and you can pick those things. So but anyway, it will be very hard for you because if you are going for a la carte, you need to have a coordinator who's coordinating that thing. Then there's something called new media. That's about the digital media we are going to have. It's about digital marketing and Google Analytics. You'll be having AdSense and everything will be there. So that's about the new media. Then you'll be having creative shops. Those are the people whom have previously been in ad agencies and they have their own style and they have gone out of their ad agency and they have developed their own style. So these are people who have mentioned as creative shops. Their creativity is very high. So those are the typical types of ad agencies you have: full service agencies, media independents, a la carte, new media, and creative shop. Sure. This is the structure of the ad agency, a typical structure of the ad agency. Just for your information, I'm showing. So you'll be having a general manager and you'll be having a plans board. Under plans board, you'll be having what? Account director, creative director, media director, and research director. Now the account director is what? Handling clients. You will be having account executives who's handling the clients. The key account management will be there. Creative director is the one who's having his creative teams to put out that creative idea in a creative way. They will be having the art director, design and visualize and all that thing. Then there will be a media director who's planning this media planning and media buying, media negotiation and media scheduling. Everything will be happen under media director, whereas a research director will come up with the market research analysis, like optimum presence has to be there. These are the proven results of past campaigns. They will be coming up with that thing as well. Then there's central traffic production team who ensures the smooth flow of the functions and the smooth flow of the process, that your clients will not get dissatisfied because of the ad agency's work. So this is a typical structure of the. Now, once you are going to select your ad agency, please put your attention to these aspects as well. The first aspect is about what? Areas of expertise held by the agency. That has to be there. Then the quality of existing clients. So we need to have some existing client, good quality clients. Then the reputation on the principles of and the experience of the staff. What is the reputation level they have and the experience levels of the staff? Do they have relevant experience in this field? And agency fees and the remuneration methods, like methods of charging and payment, are they paying by results by payment by results, or do we need to make half payment ahead of the campaign? So what are the in-house resources they have? So production in-house is there. Then the geographical coverage. So if you have a lot of geographical coverage, that will be easy for you to deal with that thing. Likewise, you need to pay your attention for this agency selection. Then we are going to talk about the creative brief. Now, creative brief is what? The document that the organization is going to use in order to communicate their intended objective to the ad agency. This comprises various aspects of the communication strategy, target group, desired positioning, and the brand image. And it's a comprehensive document, ideally fitting into a single sheet of A4. That means, like, you do, though you need to give every information, you can't write a creative brief which is of 10 to 5 to 10 to 22 like pages. You need to have clear and concise way of presenting each and every information. The other one is what it's about. Writing a creative brief is a skill job and often this is undervalued. So that's the market condition. The elements of creative brief, it's about having the product history, product features and benefits, objectives of the campaign, target audience, timetable for the campaign, and the budget availability. The elements of creative brief, you can see the history of the product and service has to be there, because the ad agency doesn't know the history of the product and services. And product features and benefits that you need to highlight, you need to inform them. And what are the target audience you are intended to, or you are expect to cover from this one. Then what are the campaign objectives, including metrics by which the campaign will be measured as well. A description of direct competition and competitive offerings also has to be there, because the ad agency doesn't know about what is your competition. Then the key information derived from the market research, you can share it with the ad agency as well. And any legal constraints, like exactly what claims and what can't be made, like some companies are there, you can't use celebrities and all that thing. So in that case, if there's legal constraints, you need to explain that to the ad agency, and there will be budget. So as a guide to which media to be chosen, because now you have to specifically say, I have $1 million for this thing. So in that said, you have to manage within 1 million. I can't give you anything more. Then the basic consumer benefits, it's about unique selling proposition. We talked about unique value proposition and the emotional selling proposition. So we need to talk about that, and you need to mention about that thing as well. Then the other one is what? It's about the rationale or supporting evidence of basic consumer benefit. You need to give those details in the creative brief as well. Hope now we are clear with the creative brief and the ingredients of that thing. And I am not expecting you to write any elements of creative brief. Instead, you need to write a creative brief having the practical elements in practical applications. Now it is your point. Now there's a question for you for 45 minutes. Write a well-planned creative brief including all necessary elements. So in that case, you need to write a creative brief and send it to us as you know our email. So we'll check it out for you and we'll send you the replies. Like you have sent in the past, you can send it to same email address. We'll check it out for you. Then the when managing an ad agency. So there will be issues when managing ad agencies. So what are the any guesses of that thing? Are there any issues? Yes, there are issues. Issues when managing ad agency. So the first one is about the cookie cutter strategic approaches. That means like what? So you will be having the same solution which has been successful for another company. They will be just having that that previous solution for you. So that is not going to work for you because we, what is applicable for someone else is not going to work for you. So you need to be careful that you need to ensure that they are not going to put forward the same solution which has been worked for another company. And there are some ad agencies which are talking more than listening, that they are going to bombard their idea and they are not allowing you to talk. They are not listening to your ambitions. And there are some ad agencies, it's about listening more than executing. There are like amazing listeners, they say yes, 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 we can do like that and everything. But again, it's about listening more than executing. And there's some advertising agency that's consulting data that's superficial or irrelevant. There are some ad agencies do like that thing as well. Then overlooking your bottom line. So they will be looking at, they will be promising you like, okay, I'll promise you it's about quadruple your web traffic within 1 week. So you can't say like that. So that has to be realistic. So overlooking your bottom line. No. So you need to have a good consideration of these issues when managing ad agencies. Like you can always make them having good deadlines, and you can make them accountable for that thing. You can read between lines. So you need to have your presence in there, and these are some of the common issues when managing ad agencies. And it is time to sum up and wrap up the session. So these are the sum up questions you are going to have. Depending on the sum up questions, let's see what is the first one. It's about what? What does the term two-step flow mean in relation to the integrated communication? What does the term two-step flow mean in relation to integrated communication? That is the first sum up question. Second sum up question, it's about what? Explain what is meant by IDA. Explain what is meant by IDA. That's straightforward. And what does RABOSTIC stands for? What does RABOSTIC stands for? Explain the term gross rating points. That's about GRP. And opportunity to see, that's about OTS. Explain the term GRP and OTS. When you are preparing a creative brief, what six element you are preparing creative brief? What six elements immediately come to mind? So you need to think about that thing, because we have already done a activity, done an activity. It's about 45 minutes. You have got that to select, and you have got that to prepare a creative brief. So those are the sum up questions. Popular hurdle question. What is your popular hurdle question here? You could deliver customer value. Has to be according to product and the relevant customer segment. So you need to first identify product, service segment as well as relevant customer segment. Then identify product, service, ESPs and USPs. What is the unique selling proposition of my product? What is the emotional selling propositions of my product? Then map it with customer persona. Now we know about customer segment characteristics. What drives them? What emotions drives them, what unique selling propositions drives them. So map those emotional selling proposition and unique selling proposition to customer persona. Then what you have to do, move into cost benefit analysis. So we have done a cost benefit analysis, if you can remember, personal benefit, image benefit, then you have emotional cost and all that thing. So do that with the customer persona, do that cost benefit analysis in par with the product and the customer segment. Then what you have to do, suggest improvements to increase the benefits if the cost is higher. If the cost is higher, you need to suggest improvements to increase the benefits more than the cost. Then let's say if the benefits is higher than the cost, focus on sustaining and improving further to be far ahead the competition. So this is how you are going to structure your answer, right? So you need to get to the hurdle question in order to get to lesson number 4. And I hope now we are clear with the value propositions and value propositions right now. In the coming class, we'll be talking about lesson number 4. We'll be talking about products and brand management. So through the product and brand management also, we'll be talking about those value propositions when it comes to brands and product. So that's the end of value propositions.
Hope now you have got a good idea of the customer value proposition. So we talked about how we are going to plan your media strategy, creative strategy, and how we are going to plan your campaign. We talked about the terminologies, we talked about metrics, that 1, 2, 3, 4, we talked about that metrics, think, feel, do, learn, feel, do, and all that thing. Then we talked about the ad agency management. We talked about how we are going to manage your ad agencies and how we are going to appoint your ad agencies. We talked about creative briefs, right? We talked about all those things. Hope this knowledge has, benefited you, and this knowledge has given you some understanding on how you're going to work on your own once it comes to ad agency management and the customer value proposition. So till we meet again with the lesson number 4. Lesson number 4 will be with a lot of surprises. So till we meet again with lesson number 4, bye for now. Let's meet in lesson number 4. Bye.